September is here, and that means fall is in full bloom. So today I am teaching you a super fun tutorial that I came up with for two different pumpkin quilt blocks. So when I think of fall, really the first thing that comes to mind is pumpkins because they're so cute. They come in all kinds of shapes, sizes, colors. So today I thought it'd be really fun to show you these two quilt blocks. Today's video is just making the quilt blocks, and then in the next video, I'm going to show you how to use these quilt blocks to make a couple of different projects. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and click that subscribe button and click the little notification bell, and you will get notified when I put out those other videos showing you how to use these quilt blocks. So let me show you the quilt blocks real quick so you know what we're getting into. So our first block is a little 6-inch, super cute, pieced together with scraps of strips. So this is super fun, super cute and easy, perfect beginner friendly quilt blocks. Really, these are. They're very wonderful for beginners, and you can use these blocks to make all kinds of stuff. You don't have to make an entire quilt. There's all kinds of different kind of projects that we'll go over in the next video of how we can use these blocks. So we have that one, and then I have a big 12-inch pumpkin. It's short and fat and perfect. I love those kind of pumpkins, and I used just a bunch of scraps from my quilt that I made in our last video, the cottage twirl quilt. If you're interested in that quilt, I will link it down in the description box below, and you can download that. That's a free quilt pattern that I designed for you guys. But so yeah, these two quilt blocks are super easy, super cute. You can mix and match them to make things. And yeah, I'm very excited to show you how to make these. So let's jump right into that tutorial. So we're at my cutting mat, and I went ahead and cut all the fabric that I need. I'm going to go ahead and pop up a image here that you can pause the video and write these down if you would like. And this is going to give you the dimensions of each piece that I cut. I'm also going to link written instructions for this entire tutorial for both blocks in the description box below. So if you'd rather read the instructions, and then there's also going to be, a spot where I tell you all the pieces that need to be cut in that as well. So that will be down in the description box for you. But I'm going to go ahead and create the 6.5-inch unfinished pumpkin quilt block. So I have my strips here. What you can do is you don't have to cut them to the exact dimensions as I'm cutting them. You can just use whatever size strips that you have and however many fabrics that you have. But I just kind of like the look of two fabrics together. So I'm going to have fabric A, which is this larger plaid, and fabric B is this smaller plaid. So with fabric A, there's 3 strips in various sizes, and I'm just going to place those in the layout that I want to do. And I'm going to do it every other one. So for the first strip, it's a fabric A, then I'll have fabric B, and so forth. Just like that. And I like using very varying widths of fabric. I just really like that look. It looks really good to me. So I have these laid out the way that I want it. And now I'm just going to pile them up and take them to my sewing machine. So this will be my top strip, just like this, onto strip number 2, number 3, 4, and 5. All right, now I'm going to take these over to my sewing machine and sew them together. Okay, I've got my strips sewn together. Now I'm just going to take this over to my ironing board real quick and just press all of my seams so they're all laying in one direction so this lays nice and flat. Okay, we've got our pumpkin body here sewn together. See, I pressed all of the seams so they are all laying in one direction. So now I am going to place my little background squares to create that really cute rounded pumpkin shape. I've got two sizes of squares. I'm going to place the larger squares on the top part of the pumpkin body. So I'm just going to place this one here like that, right up in the corner, and this one there. And I'm going to take the two smaller, slightly smaller squares and put them down here in the bottom corners. So really like that. But now we need to make a mark so we know where to sew on these. So I want a 45-degree angle line sewn on each one of these squares. So to do that, I just have a marking pen here. I really like the Dritz Mark Be Gone double-ended with the disappearing ink pen. This works really well and I really like it. And I'm just going to use my 9.5-inch ruler as my straight edge. And I'm just going to line up my ruler with the top corner up here to this corner down here. So from edge to edge. I'm just going to make my mark so I know where to stitch. Same thing on this side. And the same thing on the bottom corners. And drawing this line just ensures that you're going to be stitching a very straight stitch. You can try to eyeball it, but if you're a beginner, it's probably best to draw it on just so you don't accidentally have a curved stitch line, because that can kind of make the block go wonky. So I would say this is best practice. You don't have to do it, but it makes it a lot easier. So I have those lines on. I will go ahead and put a pin in each one of these to hold it in place. And then I'm just going to take these to the sewing machine and stitch across that line. And I will meet you back here in about 2 seconds. Now that I have those lines stitched, as you can see, there's stitches. Now I need to trim off this excess fabric in each corner. So I'm again going to take my ruler and I'm going to line up a 1/4 inch line with my stitches. So that's going to be leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance for me. And I'm just going to take my rotary cutter and cut that. I'm going to do that to each corner. Okay, so that's what it's looking like so far. Now we're going to take this over to the ironing board and I am going to press all of these open. And I will be right back. And that's what our pumpkin body is going to look like. Very cute. I love the roundness of it, and it is ready for the stem. So now I have our little stem square. It's a 2-inch square, and then 2 just background pieces. And I'm just going to sew one of these on either side of this square and then press those seams toward the dark fabric, and then we will go on to the next step. Okay, here's our stem piece. See, I pressed the seams going towards the dark fabric, and now all we have to do is sew the 2 pieces together. So we're going to sew the stem on the top, which was where our thinnest strip was and where we put our larger squares. So I'm just going to place these right sides together and we are going to sew them together, and then our block will be basically done. Check it out. Pretty cute. I went ahead and I pressed the seam up so it just lays really nice and flat. Now the last step really is to just kind of trim this down a little bit just to make sure all of our edges are straight and everything. So you just need to trim it down to 6.5 inches. So I'm going to do that here. There's just a little extra little booger there on a couple of the corners. I turn the block around, line up my 6.5-inch line here and 6.5-inch line here to square it up. And there we have our cute little 6.5-inch pumpkin quilt block. Very cute, huh? Now let's make our 12-inch pumpkin quilt block. Right. For the 12-inch quilt block, I have my 2.5-inch squares. We need 24 of them. So I went ahead and I cut 3 squares from 8 different fabrics that I thought go really well together. They're perfectly fallish, but they're still very cute and cozy and kind of cottage core-y. I really like that cottagey looking stuff. So I'm going to figure out the layout that I like for these. So basically the layout is going to be 6 squares across and 4 squares down. So I'm just gonna play around with this and figure out the layout that I like. There, I actually think that looks pretty good. I like that layout. So now I'm just going to stack my squares up by row so I know what order to sew them in. Then I just stack them row 1 on top of row 2, kind of like that. So I know once the stack is done, I start on the next row. So I've got my little stack of squares to sew together. So let's take these over to the sewing machine. You could certainly use chain piecing while piecing these blocks together. Actually, if you would be interested in a chain piecing tutorial, let me know in the comments below because I would be happy to show you how to do chain piecing. It's actually quite fun and very satisfying, but I know sometimes, hold on, probably shouldn't be talking while the sewing machine's going. I know sometimes chain piecing can kind of be a little confusing, especially for beginners, but if you would like a chain piecing tutorial, let me know and I would be happy to make one. Okay, I have all 4 rows sewn, as you can see. So before I sew the rows together, I'm going to take these to my ironing board, and rows 1 and 3, I'm going to have all of the seams going towards the right, and rows 2 and 4, I'm going to have all the seams going towards the left. And what that does, and that allows the seams to what's called nest together. And that helps everything just lay really flat and it helps the seams line up really well. So I'm just going to go do that really quick. All right, I've got my seams pressed. So as you can see, these are all going towards the right on row 1. Row 2, all the seams are going to the left, and that's going to help my seams nest. So let's go ahead and I'll flip these over. We're going to put them right sides together. And then when we're going to sew them, I definitely want to make sure, whoop, where is the camera? The camera's up here, sorry. Okay, so we are going to make sure that those seams line up. And then when the stitches go down, it's going to help those seams lie really flat. It's going to look really nice. It's a small detail. It doesn't take too long to perfect. And it just really helps the block look a lot better. And then when we open that up, then look at how nice all of those seams line up. They're perfect. They look great. So I'm gonna add the other 2 rows now. There we go. Super cute. Now we're just gonna press that flat. So there it is. It's very cute so far. Now we need to add our little corner pieces to give it our pumpkin shape. So I've just got 4 2.5-inch background fabric squares, and we're going to do the exact same thing we did on the 6-inch block. We're just going to place a square in each corner. Now we just need to trim, leaving that 1/4-inch seam allowance. Now I just take these to the ironing board and press these open. Okay, our short and chubby pumpkin body is complete. Now we just need to make the stem portion of the block. So I am going to pull those pieces over. There's 4 pieces in total. So there's 2 background pieces. There's the stem. And then to make that angle on our stem, we're just going to use a square. And we're going to do the exact same thing we did on our corner pieces of the body part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the square on our stem. Again, all the cutting instructions for these blocks are going to be included in a blog post that I am linking in the description box below. So if you need all of that information, that will be there for you. And then I'm just drawing that 45-degree angle. And now I'm just going to stitch on that line. And this angle can go either way. That's your choice. So if you want the stem to be angled that way, it can be angled that way. If you'd rather it angled that way, you can have the line going that way. And there's our stem piece. That's it. Now we just sew one of these background pieces on either side of the stem. And then we sew the stem portion to the pumpkin body. And then our block is done. And there is our finished 12.5-inch quilt block, ready to be sewn into a different project. These are so cute. I just love this. I don't know if you can tell, but I was very excited about this tutorial today. So there are our 2 quilt blocks that we made today. Super easy. They each took maybe like 10 minutes to make. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, a like. Consider subscribing if you would like to. Don't forget, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be showing you some really fun projects that we can use these quilt blocks for. So we're going to do some coasters, table runners, maybe something else I have brewing in my brain. So if you would be interested in that, go ahead and subscribe so you'll get notified when these new tutorials come out. And thank you again so much for stopping by and joining me today, and just have a great rest of your day. Bye.